Alright everyone, welcome back to another Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes video with Fat Phil, and today we're going to be taking a look at these new Lightspeed bundles that dropped yesterday. We're going to be talking about what you should do. Do you farm Profundity? Do you farm Lord Vader? What Zetas? What mods? Teams to look at? How do you utilize these characters? These are some very valuable bundles beyond just the fact of, oh yeah, any Lightspeed bundle is good. But they're leading to some very, very valuable teams. Think about the Bad Batch. This is your gateway to a very good Clone Trooper team, to the Marauder, and to Lord Vader. The Profundity teams. Think this is Rogue One. It's not just leading towards the Profundity, you're also getting some really good Rebel Fighter characters to use with various Rebel Fighter factions. So we're going to kind of build on those things, talk about how those are interacting with each other. Please do me a huge favor, though, before we get into our video. Like and subscribe, comment down below, let me know your thoughts. Let's give a massive shout to our channel members for their continued support. If you're ever interested, that link is in the description of the video, along with a link to our Discord server. Go check that out. These channel members deserve a lot of credit for just, honestly, it's the support. They keep me going. They ask good questions. They're oftentimes the brain behind a lot of my video ideas. They'll ask a question and it turns into a video. And I have no shame in admitting that. They are the power plant for a lot of the video ideas I get. So I really appreciate you guys. Let's get in here. Let's talk about what to do with these Lightspeed bundles. So we're going to start off with the Bad Batch. You bought the Bad Batch bundle. This is kind of the roadway to Lord Vader. The first most important thing you should do after buying that bundle is make sure that you go upgrade your Marauder as best as you can. This ship, if you don't already have it, what the hell have you been doing? Farm this thing right away. Get it as fast as possible. This ship is your ticket to countering Leviathans and Executors with Punishing One. It's because of this ship. It is that important. That is like number one with the Bad Batch bundle. If you bought it, build this friggin' ship. The other thing I will say that goes along with that, make sure that you've got some Galactic Republic fleets. In particular, looking at Rex, Fives, Jedi Knight Anakin, Plo, Ahsoka, and you're also going to need that Ebon Hawk if you want to be able to consistently counter those fleets. You also need to make sure that you've got a good negotiator and a good endurance. The endurance kind of slips under the radar here a little bit. You do need to have a good endurance fleet. This ship is part of the team that counters the variant with Houndstooth starting. You need the endurance. So, and that's not just talking about, hey, I need the endurance for, you need Mace Windu relics, his Zetas, mods, but you also want to make sure you've got the prestige for this, which is kind of crazy because this was a ship for a long time that we just set to the side. Its importance now is more than ever. And I can make that upgrade. Oh, I missed out on 112 points for my GP. Shame on me. So, that's the first day with Bad Batch. Now, do you farm Lord Vader? I'm going to tell you, I'm not even worried if you need the Relic 8s. That's not what my concern here for you is, do you have the ability to equip 10 Zetas? You need 6 for Lord Vader. So then the other 4 are coming from the unique on Grand Admiral Thrawn, the unique on Royal Guard, and the unique and Seething Rage Zetas on Maul. Fervent Rush is a luxury. I'm not counting it. You can equip that much later on, but you need it on Seething Rage and you need it on Bound by Hatred. If you do not have the ability to equip those 10 Zetas, we can hold off a little bit because Lord Vader needs those Zetas. He needs all of these Zetas to make his teams work, whether in 3v3 or 5v5. Now, this 5th slot is open, and that's because there's a bunch of different options you can use. Darth Vader, Piet, Ninth Sister. I mean, there's other, you could throw Reva in there if you want. There's other options, but I think those are kind of the best / most common characters you're going to put in there is between one of these guys. I normally go with the double tank option. You do not need the Zeta on Ninth Sister, but I have seen Piet work. I have seen Darth Vader work. Oftentimes, it's dependent on the datacrons that are going on and what bonuses are there. But yeah, you need the Zetas here. Again, I'm not even worried about your relic levels here. it's the Zetas up top that I'd say are more pressing. And the other thing I will say, this team does like relics. So, your Royal Guard, if it's Relic 3, that's Relic 5 is kind of the minimum here. When you're embarking on the Lord Vader journey, you're in for relics, and you've got to build his team too. So, there's some extra stuff to work on here that if you're not prepared for it, it's kind of like, ugh. So you need the Zetas. I'm not worried about these relics. It's can you do the Zetas and even the relics up here. For your Bad Batch, if Zetas are a problem, I can make a case that you do not equip their Zetas. Not that they are not a good team. Not that they don't need their Zetas. They absolutely do. But I would say there are some other more pressing Zetas that will give you a better team. And that, in my opinion, comes down here to the Rogue One team. Now, in terms of Zetas, you need 3 Zetas. You need the leadership on Admiral Raddus. You want his unique ability. The while Adrat is alive, Jyn Erso can't be defeated. I believe that is a Zeta. Let me double check that for you all before I, spout off of that. Units. Admiral Raddus. Oh, no, the Zeta, is on, the Zeta is not actually on his leadership. The leadership is his Omicron. Okay, I'm glad I looked. It's on his Inspiring Maneuver ability. It's on this. So the Zeta is all Rogue One allies gain Spark of the Rebellion for 3 turns. Yes, we do want this. 40% offense, 30 speed when this character attacks. Recover 20% max health and protection. Empire allies defeated can't be revived. If it's dispelled, gain turn meter, upload progress. Yes. So we need Inspiring Maneuver and transmissions from Scarif. You also are going to want his Omicron for Grand Arena. This is a great team. And more importantly, without the Omicron, your Profundity won't actually be the fastest it can be. I know, but it's the truth. Your Profundity will not be as fast if your Adrad does not have all of those things. You are also going to want the unique Zeta on Jyn Erso, which it doesn't sound crazy, but you've got to understand what you're really protecting from. Rogue One allies are immune to buff immunity, and she's immune to stun. Now, Jyn immune to stun isn't that great, but being immune to buff immunity is massive when you think about how many buffs are on this Rogue One team. Making sure that their buffs are going to stick around, that you can't use buff immunity on them, it's really, really important. Because again, when you look at this, right, and it says all rebel allies gain protection up, they gain Spark of the Rebellion. It doesn't say anything about dispelling debuffs, right? That's on the AoE special here. So when you go to use this, if you have buff immunity, you don't get it. So having that immunity to buff, it does really help, because there are some teams that will take full advantage of that. On the Zeta front for luxuries here, Cassian's Groundwork Zeta, just not really worth that much. Starting with protection up for 3 turns, while that's extremely nice, I would say that we don't necessarily need that Zeta. Do I like it? Yes, but you don't need it. And then the one on K2SO here, 1% max protection whenever he takes damage. Again, it's a nice Zeta. It's just not something that I would say most battles you're not going to feel the impact of this. When he had his Datacron, absolutely, but most of the time you're not feeling the impact. Those are luxurious Zetas. Then the only other character with a Zeta here is on POW. And I would say that this is a very good Zeta if you have the ability to run Mon Mothma Rebel Fighters in that turn meter train. If you can run that, then absolutely worthwhile using that character and updating that Zeta. If you don't, don't worry about it. Now, we also get these characters. You get Sharut and Baze. In my opinion, the only way to really utilize them is with Saw Gerrera Rebel Fighters. Outside of the Saw Gerrera team, they just don't offer enough. That Saw team really was designed to be used with these 2 characters, with the heal over time and stuff. So it's kind of where I would put them. And if and even if you don't have Saw Gerrera, you can table them for now and you don't have to worry about it. I would say to use Scarif Rebel Pathfinder with Admiral Raddus. That's a really good way to utilize this character. I think he 100% would go with Admiral Raddus. I think going with that double tank just adds a dynamic to that team that makes it a little bit more challenging to beat. And then Bodhi Rook, yeah, just don't even worry about it. Don't equip a Zeta, nothing. Lol, okay? Nah. Now, let's say you have the Zetas and you're like, hey, Phil, I want to worry about the mods for these characters. What do I do? So we're going to start in the Bad Batch with Echo. Echo wants speed and he likes potency. Those are the two biggest things, with the priority being speed, right? That's number one for him, is the speed, right? We like him to be fast. Now, with him, you can go all 6-dot mods and you don't need to worry. For the rest of the Bad Batch, you have to be careful about how many 6-dot mods you put on them. And that is because you need to worry about the speed of the Marauder. So let me just explain something that I have always kind of stood by here. The Marauder speed right now is 173 speed. Now, it also gains, where is it at? 15 speed from, if you have the, you gain 15 speed here, right? The unique, the level 8 here on the crew, hey, 15 speed. So that means it's 188 speed. Jedi Knight Anakin at Relic 7 is 100, and again, all 6E mods and his Zeta is 189 speed. So the reason why I have not put all 6E mods on my Bad Batch is because I want the Marauder to be slower than Jedi Knight Anakin. And the reason for that, again, a lot of counters, they still there's certain instances where you utilize this special, where you deal physical damage, Marauder and target ally recover 30% health and protection, Marauder and non-tank ally gain stealth for 2 turns. The reason why you want Marauder slower in some instances is because you can use this ability. So like Jedi Knight Anakin will go first. Then Marauder uses that ability, and now Jedi Knight Anakin truthfully has 2 full turns of stealth, rather than Marauder goes before Anakin, gives him stealth for 2 turns, and then Anakin is going to take a turn. So he only really gets stealth for 1 turn because he's slower than Marauder, right? He's going afterwards. So it's better to have him faster when it comes to that ability. Again, you could argue whether or not that still makes a difference. It's just the way I've liked to operate. So I don't have all 6-dot mods on these guys. For Hunter, he's your damage dealer, so critical damage, health, offense, whatever way you want to mod him is perfectly fine with me. I don't have ideal mods on these guys. It's something I wish I did, but I've kind of had to take their mods off. They've gotten stolen for other teams. So yeah, he's there. Wrecker. This guy's the one that I would say you want his modding to be the best, because you need him to stay alive. He's your protection guy. He's your tank. I've got actually a lot of potency and some defense where I can on him. The reason he likes the potency is because his AoE ability can stun people. You don't want that stun ever getting resisted, so potency helps. And then tech. I like speed. I like potency on this guy. You can even throw some additional offense on him when you want, because he does deal a lot of damage with his AoE attack. So there is a case to be made that we want to be using tech there. Finally, you get to Omega, the high single fire damage, critical damage, critical offense. She doesn't really matter that much. I don't even use this character. I mean, mine's level 1, gear 1. I've never had to mod her. I've never had problems utilizing this team. In Kyber 1 now, it's been a while since I've really relied on my Bad Batch to do a lot of stuff. Not that they still can't be a good team, but they definitely aren't what they once were. They still are very good in a lot of the lower levels. Just for me, it's not a team that I rely on anymore. What about the Rogue One team? For Admiral Raddus and Jyn, you're going to want speed. That's going to be the name of the game there. We want speed on them. Admiral Raddus, you can go one of 2 ways. You can kind of go with a health build because he does give out a lot of health in his kit. Otherwise, offense is also really nice. He does like offense. He's got a lot of special offense and can kind of surprise you with his damage output. And then for Jyn Erso, she likes critical chance for 2 reasons, right? We want to mod her for critical chance where we can, and that's because in her special 1, if you critically hit, you can revive a random rebel ally, and they'll gain they'll recover 20% max health for each critical hit scored. So if she scores a bunch of critical hits, you're reviving with more max health. Also, her special 2, which has a very short cooldown, deal physical damage and remove all turn meter. Jin gains that much turn meter. On a critical hit, stun the target. So this can be devastating because you're not only going and removing turn meter, but on a critical hit, you could stun somebody. So you literally can set them back like it's almost a 2-turn reduction when you think about it, right? Because I steal your turn meter, that's basically a turn that you lost. I stun you, and now you've got to take a full another turn before you're even out of stealth. So yeah, or stun. So it's very, she really does like that. Otherwise, I do like potency on her down here, and then speed everywhere you can get it. She's a pretty fast character. For Cassian, I've got a speed set. You could make this offense. You could make them all potency. Again, I have an offense on him and critical damage. He can deal a lot of damage. He doesn't have the highest base speed, but he can benefit from either of those sets. It's really what you have left. Like, this is just mods that I've kind of been able to throw on him over the years. I would love to make these better. Just, got to make work what you have, right? And then K2, I've got just protection on him. Again, I'd love to mod him differently. I kind of had to slap these on at one point, and that's what stuck. The tenacity does help keep debuffs off of him, which is good. And again, remember, whenever he takes damage, he's gaining protection, which is why I've got him modded for protection. But again, if you went health, I'm not going to hate it. It's one of those things. It's kind of like a 6 in one hand, half dozen in the other. For Sharut and Baze, mine do not have great mods because they're gear 12. But for Sharut, you'd want to go an offense or critical damage set with health, and then Baze Malbus, some defense and health with health primaries on these guys. The health primaries are going to be the most important thing. With Scarifrel Pathfinder, again, he's got terrible mods. Don't look at them. But you're going to want to go with probably protection or health on this guy. I think probably health would be that's where I would go. But, it works. Pow and Biston. Pow's an interesting one because you can make an argument he doesn't need a lot of speed because he's going to gain a bunch of turn meter. The reason you could go for speed is simply to bridge the gap in case he doesn't gain some turn meter or you need to get that train started from scratch. Then maybe speed can help. Otherwise, I would just kind of go with offense on him where you can, just so he's dealing more damage. And then on Biston, you are going to want potency. And the reason he has potency is because he can remove turn meter on his one special. And he can inflict damage over time. So this guy can kind of sneakily, remove your turn meter. It's kind of like, he's not the greatest character in the game, but it is kind of one of those interesting things where every once in a while you're like, crap, why is somebody losing turn meter? And it's because Biston's kind of constantly removing it. And he's got this frenzy mechanics, and he's going to gain it for 4 turns. So you can be spamming this ability because of that frenzy. And then Bodhi Rook, yeah, we can ignore. Just ignore. Now, finally, the creme de la creme, the piece de resistance. If you have stayed to the end, how do you mod Cup? Listen, this dude deserves GL requirement levels of mods. All right, I'm taking Ray's mod set and I'm throwing it on Cup. I'm combining Ray and everybody's best mods possible go on this character because he's obviously just chef's kiss. That's why he's sitting at the prestigious level 1, gear 1, no gear equipped. Yeah, no, I can't do this. Listen, I don't even think, his mods do not friggin' matter, alright? It just, throw whatever the hell you want on him. It's gonna be funny to watch what you guys do. Who the hell cares? I can't keep that up anymore. But I hope this helped you guys kind of figure out how to mod them, the Zetas. I did not touch on Profundity, and I apologize. So if you stayed to the end, you do get to hear me talk about this. The Profundity is to fleets what Supreme Leader Kylo Ren, prior to unlocking Darkseid Rey, is to Galactic Legends. Yes, they're solid. Very good character. Not a lot of great off-meta, non-GL counters. But they have a very set ceiling. Like, Kylo will not beat certain Galactic Legends without the help of Darkseid Rey. That's kind of what Profundity is. You're going to have a tough time against Executors with Punishing One. I think it's almost impossible. You're going to have a tougher time against the Leviathan. Not that it's impossible, but you're going to have a tougher time. But it is still one of the, it's still the third best ship in the game. Like, it's better than a lot of other things that exist. So, yes, is it as good as Executor and Leviathan? No. Is it better than everything else? And I'd say significantly better than everything else? Yes. So, still a very good fleet, just not quite as good as Executor or Leviathan. Definitely worth farming. Just bear in mind that you do need to have a lot of those other things built up as well. You've got to add some relic levels and things. But I do hope that this leads more players to farming this ship, because I do think it's, it's one of the best fleets for territory battles, which is one of the best uses for it. Which, again, I love TB, so that kind of makes sense. But let me know your thoughts down below. Like, subscribe, comment. I love you all. May the Force be with you, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers, my friends.